Video is a powerful and engaging way to communicate, and these days it is easier than ever to create a video. With technology, it takes only seconds and a click of a button to create a video. And this innovation has led to significant changes in the quality of videos we create and share, and also how videos are accessed. The standards also help to ensure that videos can be used and accessed on any device in any part of the world. And no one knows this more than the news business in Belize. Today, technology has changed the way we are recording and broadcasting to the rest of the world. And that has required local television stations to change the way they operate since a TV broadcast started decades ago. The Belize Bureau of Standards, in commemoration of World Standards Day 2019, held under the theme Video Standards Create a Global Stage, invited local TV news stations to talk about how global video standards have helped them over the years. Production manager at Channel 5, Rick Romero, gave a brief history lesson on how News 5 has evolved.
We've basically come from recording video on VHS to recording video on a memory card. The leap from the 80s to now, it's been very wide. If you notice the quality, for example, the first example that I have wasn't all that great. VHS wasn't a very high quality medium. You notice you have dropouts, which are little lines at the top. The video is not a very sharp video. So this is from the 80s. So this is a pneumatic tape. So it went from VHS, which is very half-inch in terms of the width, to 3/4 inch pneumatic. So that means that the video was recorded on a wider tape. To do news, we couldn't carry these tapes around and do our reporting. So we went to another format, and that format was the high 8 format. High 8 was 8 stands for 8 millimeters, so it went from 3/4 to 8 millimeter in tape width. It was until 2006 that we made another change in our recording, which was a format called DVCAM. Now digital, it's called Digicam, D for digital. Digital video came into existence, right, for us. Again, the quality of DVCAM was much better than the high 8. It wasn't until 2013 that we changed from DVCAM, which was this cassette here, and we started shooting digitally. We're still using video standard definition, I mean to say, which is 640 by 480 video frame, as opposed to HD, which is much more bigger. So we started with this format, the standard, from since then, and up to now we're still using it, which means that we still have ways to go in terms of transmitting in HD and digital.
And while TV news stations have made small changes over the last 30 years, not much has changed. Belize is still lagging behind when it comes to meeting international video broadcasting standards. While some local users and producers of video content have made the switch and are transmitting in purely high definition, many of the video content producers in Belize are yet to catch up to the global standards.
We have no standard. To say that we are still at 480, and that's the truth, it is, and that's where we started out at, if us in 1982, transmitting in 1982 in 480, and in 2019 we're still at 480. It is a complete reflection on the absolute failure of the Belize Broadcasting Authority, of which I am a member. But it is really the understanding that there is a breakdown in the regulatory system. There is no regulator really for broadcasting to set standards. We, Belize, should have done a digital switchover a long time ago, or at least 10 years ago, or started it 5 years ago. What do I mean by a digital switchover? we should have stopped transmitting in analog. It really is a problem, and it is indicative of the fact that the standard has overtaken us and left us in the ash bin of history with this old NTSC 525 lines standard. That's what we use. So it really is a failure of regulation and of the Broadcasting Authority, which is only really advisory. The problem is you need a department, a government department in charge of implementation. The Broadcasting Authority is the closest thing we have to a regulator, but they only exist to advise the minister.
And so if the Broadcasting Authority doesn't have the teeth to set regulations and guide the implementation of video standards, it's left to be seen how the local TV news media will meet that global shift. And as Rodolfo Gutierrez of the Belize Bureau of Standards explains, standards are important in whichever industry you operate, but the BBS can only assist to develop those standards for the TV news media based on what is required.
The situation of the media houses still transmitting in analog fashion is certainly a point of concern, because at the end of the day, everything has already transitioned from one type of technology to the other. So by probably promoting that, but again, there is another constraint, which is basically the distribution aspect of it, or basically accessibility to a lot of people that do not own the technology or the type of televisions to basically see digital footage that can pose a problem. The role as a Bureau of Standards will be basically to be able to facilitate. Once that regulator is in place, then we will be able to ensure that whenever they require standards so to make the particular transitions, we can be able to facilitate that type of process. Okay.
So at this time, there is nothing that the Bureau of Standards can do to help regulate the standards that we use or we have in the media?
No, because we will work we develop standards according to what are the requests that are done, or that may be private or public need. So until the entity that requires the standard basically wants it, then we will be able to intervene and be able to facilitate that developmental process. If you follow a standard from the very beginning, you allow yourself to become competitive, be able to enter that market where there are other producers that are already following standards. So if you want to survive, it's not an expense, it's really an investment on a long-term basis for you to be able to be profitable at the ending of the day. And then at the ending of the day, also be compliant to whatever standards are out there. Again, standards are voluntary. They're not mandatory unless it's a regulation. But in terms of different standards for different products or processes, it's always voluntary. So it's up to you. If you want to get into the market and keep alive, then standards is the way to go.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.